So what we're going to talk about are frogs as closures, and you can purchase frogs as long as you're working with black or white. Knotting, being able to tie knots and make things with it, is about as old as mankind. It's up there with fire and the wheel so far as getting mankind to where we are today. We'll look at first making the trefoil, and then think of the trefoil as 3 loops. So you just make your first loop over the top. So over to the left, made your first loop. You form the second loop on top of that one. What you're doing, the side you're looking at is going to be the underneath side. You're going to turn it like that to sew it on the garment. And I didn't bring needle and thread for everybody today, but what you would be doing is stitching. So you would make your little loop and stitch it down, stitch it together. The trick is knowing your size and what size. Obviously this is open-ended, so we could have made these any size we wanted. And so that's the artistic part of doing this, is what size is your loop? Well, that's up to you. That's up to your garment, that's up to your size body. Anyway, and so you have your first loop and you tack it down, and then you bring this second loop over the top there, and you've got 2 loops, and you'll tack that down, and then you bring the third one again over the top that way, and you'll voila have 3 loops, and you tack them down. You cut, well, we'll talk about the ends in a minute, but and then this fourth one, so one side will be the one side will be the buttonhole, and the other side's going to be the button. So one side you'll make another loop here, and that'll have to be big enough to be this loop right here. That'll be the buttonhole. How big do you make it? How big is the buttonhole? So this is all very much an art. There's no sizes to it. And then once you get this all tacked together, you'll lay it on your garment and pin it on there or glue it down or something, and then hand sew it. That's all that is to the trefoil part of it. Now for the other side of the we got the trefoil made. And then on the loop part, we added the French button instead of having to sew the button on separately. So on one side you made a loop for the buttonhole, on the other side you make the button. So obviously you've got to be able to time that so the button, we're going to make the button in a minute, but when you close that up, the button's got to be right here. And then it's attached, it's already attached, and all you have to do is sew the end down. So how do you make that little button? Well, it's really not difficult at all. So think of it as loops, and then you're going to weave the end into the loop. So if you take your thing and make your first loop, and then take this little end, and now you can weave in through those loops there. So you'll go over the first and under the second one, and then over the next one and under this one. And then when you pull it tight, you're going to have a little button.
Okay.
So we'll go through that again. And so see so depending upon how thick your material, your trim is, you'll get a bigger button or a smaller button. This is just according, that. We'll start over again. I'll show you again. Okay, so then, let me turn it around this way. So you put the second loop over that first one. So now you have 2 loops. Under the second one, over the next one, and under the second one.
Wait a second. So you go over the first one.
But you pull both ends at the same time in order to get the knot. Then, of course, you're just going to cut off one end. The end you'll cut off and you'll just tack down underneath it. See, there are unlimited variations on how you could apply this